And welcome to Las Vegas, the semifinals of the West Coast Conference. The championship tournament held in Las Vegas once again for the 21st consecutive season. Heading to the title game, no surprise, Gonzaga. Rui Hachimura led the way for a Zags team that dominated, especially behind the arc with Killian Tilly, who has yet to miss a three-pointer in the tournament. And Gonzaga cruise control past San Francisco by 28 in our opening game of our semifinal doubleheader. Now game two, BYU and St. Mary's. Pablo Schusen here with Karan Butler and Gene Wojciechowski, and really looking forward to watching Jock Landale perform tonight, the WCC Player of the Year.
Absolutely. You touched on it, Bob. The Player of the Year, a guy that could, get you going offensively, defensively, controlling the boards. His versatility is much needed tonight. It starts with him and ends with him.
And how important is this man going to be tonight for BYU's hopes, Elijah Bryant?
He's a shot taker, and he's also a shot maker. He's a guy that can knock down shots on the perimeter, put the ball on the floor, and they feed off his effort and energy on that end.
Dave Rose at BYU took this team to the Sweet 16 back in 2011. The last couple of years in the NIT, but if they can make a run in the WCC Championship, who knows? This may be a team that could surprise in March and make it to the NCAA tournament. For St. Mary's, 28-4 for Randy Bennett. And he has a team that right now, and we're going to hear from Gene Wojciechowski about this in a little bit, is debatable in terms of the bubble. You would think a team 20th overall in the AP poll would not have anything to worry about in terms of the NCAA tournament. Randy Bennett says not so fast, and Gene spoke with him about that a short time ago, so we'll check in with him in a moment.
That's unheard of, even to think of that. A team being on the bubble, efficient that they have been all season long. Player of the Year, the WCC do not get enough credit how competitive this conference actually is.
Tough catch for Luke Worthington, looking for his own miss, and instead it was corralled by Hermanson. St. Mary's had to fight for their lives on Saturday night against Pepperdine. And what would have been not just the surprise of this tournament, but maybe the surprise of all of March Madness if Pepperdine had pulled off the upset. But St. Mary's was able to survive. Jordan Ford scores the game's first points.
Yeah, pretty much picking up exactly where he left off in last game versus Pepperdine. He was the spark that they needed offensively, knocking down shots, creating for others, and he continues to play the way that he has played last game.
Sweet fadeaway as Yoli Child's able to knock down his first attempt.
He's going to be huge on the offensive end, and defensively at some point you want to see him matched up on Jock Landale.
From the corner, that three a little too strong for Tanner Krebs. Run down though by Calvin Hermanson. And now it is Landale in the post. Ford for three. And Childs does a good job to keep it alive and hand it off to Hardnett.
BYU did an excellent job on that possession, showing him a lot of looks. Him being Landale, doubling him on the post, making sure that he kicks the ball out.
Krebs for three. That's no good again. Childs to the corner. Hartnett tries a three. Way short.
It was the right pass by Childs, catching the ball in the paint and kicking it out.
Not looking for the basketball, Calvin Hermanson, so that was a surprise. And Gene, what would also be a surprise if St. Mary's didn't make the tournament. Is that actually possible?
Well, our Joe Lenardi, our bracketologist, says that St. Mary's is in win or lose, but when we were talking to Randy Bennett, he thinks they deserve to be in, but he's not so sure they will get in if they lose. He says they're treated like a bubble team, that the WCC doesn't get the respect it deserves, that Gonzaga doesn't get the respect it deserves. So what about the number 2 team, St. Mary's? So he says they're going to play like a bubble team tonight as if they're not in.
Interesting. Now, Karan, in your opinion, is that coach speak, or does this league, in spite of the fact that the flagship school of the WCC had the lead with a minute to go, looking for a national championship last year in Gonzaga, but is there still a little bit of a victimization of the WCC where maybe they don't get the respect they deserve?
They do not get the respect that they deserve. As you see Nar score right there off the glass. And, you know, you have to look at Gonzaga. You know, they have been the gold standard. Coach Mark Few has been the winningest coach in all of college basketball by percentage base. And you look at that team, and they're still considered the underdogs. You know, they're not even favored in this conference this year. You know who was? St. Mary's. St. Mary's was the projected favorite coming up this year. So if the Zags are definitely in, how could they be a bubble team?
Well, St. Mary's finished 16-2. They won at Gonzaga, only one game behind the Zags in the WCC race, so they just about lived up to being the favorite. Bryant cruises in for two for BYU.
Hey, Bob, we talked about how important it was for Bryant to get going, and you see the 2 buckets by him. He's the energizer guy. As he scores, his buckets seem like they're more than 2 or 3 points when he scores. It's like a 10-point shot.
Randall in the post, 10 to shoot. Here comes the double team. Ford weaving his way through traffic, draws a foul. Great start, though, for BYU. The Cougars with a 5-point lead. It would be a mild upset if BYU made it to the championship game, led early by Elijah Bryant.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Hyundai.
St. Mary's may be ranked 20th in America. They may be the 2nd seed in this WCC championship, but an early blitz from BYU gives the Cougars the lead. Bob Wischusen here with Karan Butler and Gene Wojciechowski with us as well. You said before the game you thought Elijah Bryant was going to be an X-Factor type player for BYU. He's got 5 of their 9.
Yeah, I thought, you know, because of Yoeli Childs and the way that he operates, specifically like 17 on in or on the box, you want to see Bryant knock down shots so it gives him the necessary real estate to get into his package where he can score the ball and open up opportunities for others, and that's exactly what you see from Bryant early.
Well, those are the 2 first-team All-WCC selections, Bryant and Childs, who between them averaged 35 points a game for BYU, and they're off to a good start with a 4-point lead. The best teams you had at UConn, who was that X-Factor player that you knew when you went in, if he plays well, we're probably going to win, if it wasn't you?
Yeah, I was about to say it was me, pretty much.
That was too easy.
Yeah, but you know what? It's all seriousness. I always said if Talik Brown was playing well, you know, it strengthened our percentages like significantly, because he was a guy that if he was knocking down his outside shot, there's nobody that really could beat us.
Right. Bashir Hartnett stretches the BYU lead. Randall Felds on the drive. First 5 times he touched it in the post, passed it back out 5 times. Is he not looking to be aggressive enough offensively early?
You know what? In that possession particularly, he turned baseline going away from the double team that was coming from the top. So he was trying to get a quick move off where he can be aggressive and make something happen at the basket. But, you know, he's extremely clever, high basketball IQ. He has to continue to bait that double team and open up opportunities for his teammates.
Hermanson crashes the offensive glass, but a foul will be called on Hermanson. That's his first.
We talked about the energy of St. Mary's yesterday when they was playing Pepperdine Waves, and they came out, you know, with a spirited performance, talking about the Waves. Marty Wilson's last year, you know, being with those guys, and, you know, that era ends, and they came out and just let it all hang out for their coach. And, you know, you wanted to see a different type of energy from St. Mary's. and they came out a little flat right now once again. And BYU is so talented, you cannot get down by much and expect to be able to pull that run off again 2 nights in a row.
Five to shoot. Ford on the drive with the left hand off the window.
It's amazing just seeing Ford and the way that he's been offensively. You know, a left-hand shot, kiss off the glass. He's clicking on all cylinders.
Bryant gets a return. Comes up short for 3. Here comes Ford. Jordan Ford off balance, straws the foul. So Jordan Ford will shoot 2 as TJ Hawes picks up his first.
And you see the big man right here working, trying to, you know, body up, carve out and get some real estate. And he's trying to repost and get back in position. Quick shot right there by the perimeter guy. You want to get the ball into him as much as possible and work off him, where you got guys closing out at you extremely hard and you can create off the dribble. Bob, we talked about it, you know, in pregame. We knew at some point Yoli Childs would be on Jock Landale. Just his athleticism and, you know, he got to have that disposition. The best players got to guard the best players, and he's taking that challenge.
When you look at Jock Landale, do you still look at him the way we're talking about this in game number 1 with Dick Vitale and Gene Wojciechowski? He's kind of a dying breed, the true center, the guy in the pivot that at the NBA level as an offensive foul is committed by Yoli Childs. It's kind of being phased out. Teams don't really look for that traditional back-to-the-basket player anymore. Yeah, because the game is so perimeter-driven now. You know, the era of Steph Curry and these guys that, you know, are more than capable of knocking down shots on the perimeter, 4-man and 5, showing versatility. You see Joel Embiid, a guy that can put it on the floor, facilitate, do so many things. Guys like him, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, that's the new trend. That's the new wave. You know, a guy like Shaq, that's a once-in-a-generation, once-in-a-lifetime type player. Big shot from the corner for Calvin Hermanson. That 3 makes it a 1-point game, and Hermanson seemed to hit every big 3 down the stretch as the Gales held off Pepperdine on Saturday night.
I just really don't think that we'll ever see a guy such as Shaq again.
Right. Pretty with the left hand for Childs.
When you look at Landale, he possesses a skill where he can knock down the perimeter shot. You know, going to shoot-arounds and watching him work on it. You know, he has a good touch, and he's going to have to shoot that more and more often, you know, with the double teams that he's facing.
Karan, we were talking to some of the St. Mary's players yesterday. I was asking them, what sort of extreme defenses have you seen them play against, Jock? They said they've seen everything, played them straight up, double teams, extreme double teams, even a box and 1. If you were coaching against him, what kind of defense would you play against him?
No, honestly, I'm old school. I always believe in, you know, guard your man, match up. If he gives us problems, you know, you're on national television. You know, man up. You got to guard your position. You know, I'm going to challenge you to be the best version of yourself, and that's a challenge that you should welcome.
So far, 11 touches for Landale and has yet to attempt a shot through the first 8 minutes. As the WCC Player of the Year, that's basically setting screens and being that facilitator. That time set the screen for Jordan Ford, and Ford knocked it down.
That's a component of his game that I love about, you know, with Jock Landale. Even if he's not going offensively, he's going to find other ways to have his fingerprints on the game.
Back outside to Nixon. That's an air ball. Hermanson for 3. He's got another. St. Mary's on top.
When Hermanson get going on the perimeter, when Nard get going, when Ford get going, now you're opening up real estate for Jock Landale.
Childs able to answer. And just like that, the Cougs retake the lead.
That's an aspect of his game that he's been working on. Wasn't comfortable shooting early this season. Now he's not hesitating, and he's getting the results that he worked hard for.
Emmett Nahr sets up Ford. Short. Ford Saves his own miss. And then a foul called on Dalton Nixon. A point lead for BYU. You wonder if he's here to watch his alma mater, or maybe he's here to see if there might be some talent to keep his eyes on. Danny Ainge, is he a fan or is he a scout tonight? Probably both.
A little bit of both.
Dream big. The dream continues.
If you're a basketball fan, it is about as good a time of year as you could ever hope for. And we are certainly fans of what we've seen at the WCC Championship so far. Bob Wischusen, Karan Butler, Gene Wojciechowski. We watched Gonzaga dominate San Francisco in Game 1. Now, a tight one between BYU and St. Mary's. As we would expect, one of these two teams advances to tomorrow night's championship game at 9 Eastern. We will bring it to you from Las Vegas. And so far, Karan, Jock Landale has not really been much of a factor offensively. Are you thinking that Randy Bennett will maybe run some different stuff and get him to different spots on the floor where maybe he can dictate the matchup?
Yeah, you know, you're probably going to see him at the pinch post, probably see him off the logo, probably see him, you know, with the ball up top, facilitating a little more.
There's Landale.
Or diving on the move. All different spaces on the floor to get him the ball, which you just saw in that last possession.
Is that a product of them running something for him where you bring him up on a screen and roll rather than having him down in the paint?
If he's just in the paint, it's so predictable that the ball is going directly into him. But you put him on the perimeter and he's setting picks and slip screens, things of that sort. Now he's harder to guard because he's on the move. And a lot of guys cannot stay with that pace when you have an active big man that's mobile.
You know, one thing about Jock, he was not heavily recruited, even regarded in Australia. They went over there, and their assistant coaches are Marty Clark, who does most of the recruiting in Australia, an Australian himself. So they took a gamble on Jock, but it's paid off.
Sure has. You see his versatility and what he's been able to accomplish. You know, player of the year.
Now he's back in the post. This time he seals, and there is his first field goal.
It's only a matter of time. You know, the really, really good players in this game always find a way to figure it out.
Yoeli Childs spins and fades away on Landale and draws the foul.
You look at his base, pushing Childs off and this turning directly at the basket and finishing for the strong two. I feel like those free throws got him going offensively.
He had 19 rebounds to go along with 17 points in the win over Pepperdine on Saturday night. Landale's 19 rebounds, not just a St. Mary's tournament record, that was a West Coast Conference tournament record.
Sometimes if you're a scorer, a proven scorer in any league, you just need to see the ball go through the hole a few times to get that rhythm.
Shot clock under 10. Ford through a double team, sets up Nar. Thought about a three. Now with 5 to shoot, he'll have to create. Sets up Ford for a wide open look. Well done by the Gales.
Excellent recognition right there by Ford, knowing the shot clock, catching the ball, not doing too much with it, and just shooting and following through.
Hawes gets a shooter's roll. That's in the bloodlines.
Touch up. Thank you.
Older brother Tyler was the #1 all-time scorer in BYU history, and his dad Marty, he was first team all-WAC back in 1990 for BYU. So that's not the first time or the last time that a Hawes put the ball through the hole for BYU.
Clearly a shot maker.
Hermanson. He's got another three. That's his third here in the first half.
So is he.
St. Mary's shooting 60%, BYU shooting 56%. Hawes on the move, gives it up. Hanging from the rim is Yoli Childs. Great look from TJ Hawes.
So athletic, just, hiding behind the defense, getting the defender to commit, dumping it off, and Childs just going up and getting airborne.
Landale to the cutter, and a foul called on the cut by Calvin Hermanson.
Look at Nard right here, just facilitating. Shot clock at 3 right here, pushing it out right to forward, right in rhythm, having that shot clock recognition, following through for the deep. Trey ball.
McKay Cannon called for that foul, and already BYU over the limit. They've got 8. See, St. Mary's has only committed 2 fouls so far in the first half, so that's a big disparity we'll have to keep our eyes on as the game moves on.
Either that's good defense or the refs letting them play.
Nixon and Worthington each have 2 for BYU. Randy Bennett's taken St. Mary's to the NCAA tournament 6 times, to the NIT 5 times. Coming up on 400 wins in his 17th year as a head coach.
Simply amazing. And he's been rewarded. He's going to be there for years to come. Just signed the contract extension. Congratulations, Coach.
With a sloppy dribbling from Elijah Bryant creates a held ball. It belongs to St. Mary's. When we come back, the Gales have a 1-point lead. Trying to get to the WCC championship game tomorrow night against Gonzaga here in Las Vegas. There was a pipeline of Australian talent to St. Mary's, of course, led by Jock Landale, who might be the best of them all, the WCC Player of the Year. And there's also a pipeline from Australia to the NBA. Matthew Dellavedova, of course, played at St. Mary's and has gone on, along with Patty Mills, to have great careers in the NBA. And Ben Simmons becomes the top player in the draft. Thon Maker. Basketball over the last 20 years has taken a step to a place from Australia that I'm not sure we ever imagined it would.
It really is amazing just seeing all the talented guys, and the future is extremely bright for this one right here, and Jock Landale and so many others coming up behind him. If you look at the godfather, of Australian basketball, who would that be, Bob?
That'd be Andrew Gaze. He was really the first guy that became a notable player in the U.S. for Seton Hall, that 88-89 team that made a run to the Final Four under P.J. Carlissimo, current head coach over in Sydney. But he was really just a pure spot-up shooter. They lost to that Ramil Robinson, Glenn Rice, Michigan team in the championship game.
6 Australian players on the St. Mary's roster, another one coming next year, 2 from New Zealand next year. Marty Clark, that assistant coach I was telling you about, makes 3 trips to Australia at least every year. Emmett Nahr says the players in Australia know about St. Mary's. They even watch them on TV. And Marty told me it's much more competitive now recruiting in Australia because the word has gotten out.
It's working. Those trips are bearing fruit as Jordan Ford's 3 extended the Gales' lead. And now a foul by Tanner Krebs out on the perimeter. Only the 3rd on the team. St. Mary's here in the first half. There's Marty Clark. His frequent flyer status must be tremendous. You make that many trips back and forth to Australia, you're getting upgrades.
I need his package.
That's where our brains are, of course. Elijah Bryant on the drive.
I need his package, whatever he's on.
Foul away from the ball will be called on Calvin Hermanson. That's going to be his 2nd. So the first player with 2 fouls for St. Mary's.
Bob, quick question. How many Vegemite sandwiches you think he had? Whatever that meant.
Somebody's got the Men at Work album. Hawes out of the double team to Childs. Tip follow won't go. And Hermanson ends up with the rebound.
Even though Childs missed that shot right there, I love the fact that he's taking it and not hesitating.
Ford doesn't hesitate. Childs fouled by Landale. That's his second.
Bob, I love this matchup. With Landale and Childs, really going after it, on the offensive end and the defensive end. Activity is amazing by Childs in this first half.
The top two scorers now on the bench for St. Mary's. So just a moment after we talked about the fact that the Gales had no foul trouble to worry about, it only committed 2 fouls through the first 12 minutes of the game. And they still only have 5 team fouls, but Landale and Hermanson each have 2 of the 5. So you're talking about arguably your 2 best players now having to sit maybe for the rest of the first half.
It didn't happen until you brought it up, did it?
The announcer jinx says the more time you spend in our business, the more you'll realize the power we have. Hawes can't hit. Childs fumbles the offensive rebound. Shot clock down to 8. Hunter swooping left hook off the bench for Jordan Hunter.
Really good body control on that, finishing with the left hand, understanding the shot clock. Good finish by Hunter.
Childs through contact, can't hit it. Hunter takes it right off the rim. Fitzner with a good shot fake. Hawes ends up with the steal. The hit ahead. Laying it in with the left hand is Hartnett.
Hartnett did a really good job recognizing that it was a defender right on his trail. And he just gathered himself and finished accordingly, right off the glass.
Hunter again in the post. Lost it. Poked away. Here comes Deshir Hartnett. Shuffles one. And laying it in is Elijah Bryant. Beautiful pass from Hartnett.
They're playing some inspired basketball. We're talking about BYU.
Fitzner for 3. That hit the backboard first. Allows the back tap from Hunter to keep it alive. Nar, a floater in the lane. That's no good. Again, a long rebound. Tanner Krebs runs it down. Ford, old school floater, comes up short. The tip follow not there. Try again, though, and succeeding. Jordan Ford.
St. Mary's just imposing their will on the game right there. Getting to the loose balls, 3 offensive rebounds right there on that possession, and they was rewarded. You can't lose in the effort game.
Foul called on Jordan Hunter as Yoli Childs got nearly unstoppable position under the basket. Back and forth we go. St. Mary's and BYU fighting for the right to take on Gonzaga tomorrow night. In our 33rd year, ESPN Champ Week presented by Principal continues Tuesday with Aaron's American Conference Women's Championship game. South Florida takes on UConn. 5 Eastern on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. I'm Bob Wischusen. Gene Wojciechowski with us here as well in Las Vegas. Speaking of UConn, sitting next to Karan Butler, who won a few games in your time in Stores, but did you ever think that you would continue to see for this many years Gino Auriemma build a program that has basically been invincible.
It's just amazing what they've been able to accomplish. 100 straight wins in AAC play. You know, you think about the legacy and the tradition of Swin Cash, Maya Moore, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, the list goes on. So many greats, Rebecca Lobo. And then now, just seeing the tradition continue, you know, it's been amazing. All led by Coach Gino Auriemma.
Landale, hesitant in the post. Now the jump hook crawls over the front of the rim.
Good to see him back out there assertive and being aggressive offensively. Understanding that he do have 2 fouls, and he's going to have to be careful. Don't want to pick up a third going into the half.
Are you surprised at all that Randy Bennett decided to bring him back in, considering his team was already up? Risking that 3rd foul before halftime, would you think as long as the reserves were playing well, he might try and ride it out as that flip goes down for Childs?
But if you look at the big picture, you do not want him to be ice cold going into the half. And then thinking about a rhythm for a basketball player, you want to have some type of flow going into halftime, coming out, hit the ground running, and still be engaged in the game. I saw him a few times, you know, particularly when they played USF before tournament play, where he got in foul trouble early, and he just wasn't able to get back going offensively.
5 to shoot. Landale spins baseline this time and is off the mark. Coming up on the Audi halftime report, a couple of more tickets punched. We'll update you on who has made it to the NCAA tournament. Gonzaga once again reaches the WCC final. If you missed the first game of our doubleheader, you will want to see those highlights as Dalton Nixon creates a highlight of his own. And guess who picks up number 3?
We just touched on that. You know, it's almost like, I hate that. I feel like I jinxed him.
I told you about the announcer jinx.
The announcer jinx. Bob, it started with you. It started with you, bro. But you see, you know, Nixon did an excellent job of just going into the body of Landale after he turned around. Back baseline, Landale came over with his hands up, straight up and down, 12 o'clock, and he went right into the body and, you know, forced the ref to, you know, make a call.
So now the West Coast Conference Player of the Year is undoubtedly done for the rest of the first half. As Coach Bennett rolled the dice, Landale picks up number 3. Back to Jordan Hunter in the post, and Hunter has been every bit as effective as Landale with his back to the basket.
Extremely efficient.
Hawes gives it up. Childs' floater is good.
He's doing a little bit of everything. Keep me in Childs. Scoring the basketball, playing excellent defense on Hunter, whether it's Landale, rebounding the ball, playing with pace, not hesitating offensively on the perimeter. You see the block shot right there, leading into transition. Love his effort.
Elijah Bryant attacks. Offensive foul. Jordan Hunter took the charge.
Bob, it might be a makeup call. As you see, Bryant going to the basket. Oh, yeah, that was the right play. That was the right call. Right here. From our angle, it looked like Landale went straight up, but he did get him, you know, on the arm a little bit with the left hand.
Nar sets up Krebs. Chance for BYU now to stretch the lead. And Hartnett will pull it out with about a 2-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock in what has been a very high quality of play between these two teams in the first half. BYU at 59% from the field, St. Mary's 52%, and only 9 combined turnovers. 5 to shoot. Hartnett gives it up. Childs for 3. Yes. The clock stopped. It should not have. So the officials wave off the final second, and that takes us to halftime. BYU on top by 4.
And that was an excellent play right there. You know, just exhausting the clock, running it down as much as possible. Hartnett getting into the pick and roll game with Childs. And, you know, you saw Coach Rose telling him to hold it up. And look at Hartnett. Seeing that a defender Hunter did not come all the way out and respect the range of Childs, and he just caught it in rhythm, in flow, shot the ball, followed through, and went straight to the locker room.
And the officials were right to run out the rest of the time, as the clock never should have stopped. So it's time for the Audi halftime report. Chris Cotter, Jay Williams, and Seth Greenberg. On semifinal number 2 tonight in the WCC tournament. Pablo Schuzen, Karan Butler, Gene Wojciechowski. It's a 4-point lead for BYU. Jock Landale, player of the year in the WCC, has as many fouls as he does field goal attempts. 3 fouls, 3 field goal attempts. But you said before we came on the air, you thought Yoeli Childs was going to determine where this game went for BYU. He's got 18.
Really did. You know, I thought that his versatility was going to be key in this game. And as you can see right here, the best players usually guard the best players. Jock Landale being the best player for St. Mary's, Yoeli Childs being the best player on the team for BYU. He's taking that very personal on the offensive end, on the defensive end. He's out there deflecting the ball, finishing on offense, pick and roll on the perimeter, knocking down the perimeter shot, and not hesitating on anything. Look, he's already jogging to the locker room after that, making the game look extremely effortless on the offensive end and the defensive end. Yoeli Childs.
Anything that St. Mary's can do to turn these numbers around. 21 touches for Landale on different possessions in the first half, only 3 shots.
I think Jock Landale has to get going offensively and, you know, defensively, and he has to be a force on the rebounds. He has to make it difficult for Yoeli Childs. Yoeli Childs is playing, you know, efficient basketball on the offensive end, and he's uniting this squad to feel some type of way that they can get this quality win.
Let's go over to Gene.
Good turnover right there by St. Mary's.
We'll check back in with Gene in just a moment, as Landale playing with 3 fouls. Has to be careful at both ends of the floor. Operating in the post here. Hermanson on the drive, comes up short. Another rebound for Childs. Elijah Bryant off balance, short. Landale finds a cutter and missed connection with Jordan Ford. Now we've made contact with Gene.
Fellas, I wasn't trying to ignore you. I was actually camped out at the St. Mary's locker room. Randy Bennett didn't get out till after the second half started. I asked him, how do you manage Jock Landale with those 3 fouls? He said, we've got to play him. We have no choice. He said they have to play better defensively. Dave Rose from BYU said, yes, with those 3 fouls, we're going to try to go at him a little more. They're not sure it really make a difference given what a veteran he is, but they're going to give it a shot.
Great out-of-bounds underneath play. Elijah Bryant lays it in on the opposite side of the floor from where Landale could have protected the rim.
I think a lot of what you see today from BYU, you know, happened just the night before, where, you know, you saw the Pepperdine Waves really compete at a high level against St. Mary's. And BYU probably looked at that game and said, you know what? We got a shot. We can go in there if we come in with the right mindset and the right disposition. We can get a quality win.
Great look. Throwing it down as Childs off the feed from Bryant.
Talk about a team that's playing inspired basketball and for one another.
3rd foul on Luke Worthington.
Look at Bryant, just weaving through the defender. And Childs doing an excellent job getting right behind the defender in Landale, making him commit, and just finishing for the strong 2. His activity has been amazing in this ball game, offensively and defensively.
5 to shoot. Nar floats one to Landale.
It was good execution right there, the two-man game. Nar just holding the ball a little long to get the defender to commit and finding Landale rolling to the basket.
Left hand, a little too strong for Hartnett. And Nar fouled by Hartnett.
Well, as I can tell you, standing outside the locker room, you could hear through that metal door. It was spirited. It was loud. At one point, I heard one of the coaches yell, make them play. Don't foul. Make them make the plays. So clearly, the fouling really upset those coaches in that first half.
They have not fouled so far, St. Mary's, in the second half, but whatever challenges they're putting up there for BYU, Karan, to make plays, BYU keeps on making those plays.
They're delivering, and for the most part, it's Yoli Childs, finding ways to be efficient on the offensive end, whether it's around the basket or on the perimeter.
Landale, that's one of the most aggressive moves we have seen him make in the post this entire tournament.
And it's a mindset when you catch the ball. You can't assume or already have your mind made up that you're going to, draw the double team or pass it out to the perimeter. Sometimes you got to impose your will on the game and be aggressive offensively.
Childs is good again. 22 for Childs. Another foul on Worthington. That's his 4th.
This possession right here, with Jock Landale, this is what you call imposing your will on the game, being aggressive, having your mind made up, whether it's a one-man guarding you or 2 guys coming over to help. You're going to finish the offensive play playing like a man possessed on that possession.
And that's been few and far between, Saturday night and tonight.
It's the tail of the halves.
Too easy for Jordan Ford. The C's parted. No one stepped in.
You'll usually see him get in foul trouble or go a little cold in the first half, he being Jock Landale. And in the second half, he get going and he start rebounding the ball, get going offensively and things like that. But they need him to be clicking offensively for the majority of the game.
Strong drive from TJ Haas. From the corner, Hermanson, air ball. Nixon attacks, blocking foul. Nar tried to stand his ground, but Dalton Nixon got there first. So he'll shoot 2.
Who mans is this?
Oh, that's the Wayback Machine. There's Danny Ainge.
Oh!
Yesterday and today.
Looked like he was headed to the Regal Beagle.
Just saw Danny Ainge. There are a lot of NBA scouts in the building tonight. We've got a Wednesday night NBA doubleheader starting in the Motor City. The Pistons hosting DeMar DeRozan and the Eastern Conference leading Raptors at 8 Eastern. Then LeBron and the Cavs in the Mile High City to take on the Nuggets. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
A lot of stars on display. And I was just about to talk about the NBA a little bit more, but yeah, boy! Flavor Flav in the building. Haven't seen him in a long time.
He's going little clock. I figured for a night out at the games, he's got the Ewing jersey on, so that is much respect. That is the throwback Patrick Ewing jersey. Wow. I'm a fan of that, but I'm thinking big clock.
You call that a little clock?
For Flavor Flav? There was a time he would wear like a grandfather clock, just about. like a dinner plate. That's a coaster.
Man, I'm the pioneers of hip hop. I'll tell you what.
Landale, yes.
He better never be late anywhere with a clock on your neck. Is the clock actually right? Can you get a close up on it again?
Hawes. Long rebound to Nar. A chance for St. Mary's to make it a one-possession game. Fighting for the right to take on Gonzaga in the championship game tomorrow night. Hermanson from the corner. Comes up short.
That was the right play to make right there. Jock Landale rolling, throwing it out to Hermanson. Missed the shot. I would love to see Jock, though, catch that ball in that paint whenever and be aggressive and insert himself offensively even more.
Hartnett gives it up. Laying it in with the left hand is Dalton Nixon.
What time is it?
Not 1:30.
That's East Coast time. He's on. Come on, Flavor.
Flavor's going to be really late or really early. Nar thought about a three. Instead, it's Landale on the post. Much more assertive. Draws the foul on Childs.
That's what you want to see more of from Jock Landale. Catching the ball and just operate. Knowing that it's a physical defender on you and Yoli Childs. But, you know, taking that matchup personal because he definitely is on the opposing end. And just be aggressive.
First on Childs. But it's almost like in the second half a switch is flipped with Landale. All throughout the Pepperdine game on Saturday night, and even in the first half tonight, we documented it, 21 touches, only 3 field goal attempts. Second half now, he is looking to attack the basket first, rather than just looking back out to the perimeter, being a passer, which for the last 3 halves, for the most part, is all he was.
And that's a delicate rope right there to walk, you know, if you're going to play that way. Not being offensively aggressive all the time, and you know they're going to need you to be the best version of yourself. You know, they feed off your energy, they feed off your buckets, they being all your teammates. You score a bucket, they feel, you know, really good out there and confident.
Ford weaving through traffic, tried to shovel a pass off to Evan Fitzner and turns it over.
He knew immediately right there that, you know, he probably over-dribbled a little bit and, you know, probably going to go out there and make up for it. You know, I love his poise, though. For the most part, he's been a facilitator, a creator for himself and his teammates and Ford. And, you know, I love his competitive drive and what he brings to the table.
Little pocket pass. Nixon gives it up. Yoli Childs gets another dunk on a play that was started by T.J. Hawes.
They connected. You know, they really are. They connected defensively. They're getting steals, getting deflections. Offensively, they're passing and moving around, playing off each other relatively well. They believe.
Hermanson on the drive. Yes.
Strong finish right there by Hermanson. Jabbing left and knowing that the defender and Yoli Childs coming over to help, he had to go really high with that teardrop to get it over the reach of Yoli Childs.
Well done by Elijah Bryant.
Strong finish. You know, Bryant going into the body of the defender and still having enough energy to get it on the glass and finish.
Ford left alone. Yes. Nixon spins with the left hand around Landale. Can't hit it. BYU crowd looking for a foul to be called. Fintzner runs the floor. Finger roll is good.
Really good look right there by Nard, just pushing the pace. Finding the offensive player, streaking down the middle, threading the needle. Easy two.
Hawes floats one over Landale. Hawes with 9. He averages 12 a game.
They understand that Landale has 3 fouls, so they're taking it to the paint and not, shying away from the contact of him. Going right at him.
Off the Hermanson miss. Walked up by McKay Cannon. Childs for 3. Rolls it home.
How efficient Yoeli Childs been this game. Knocking down the perimeter shot, showing you the versatility with the floaters. 27 points in this game. 10 minutes left.
Landale through the double team. Off the mark. Childs another rebound.
Good defense right there by Childs and the rebound to kick it out.
27 points, 6 rebounds for Yoeli Childs. He's got 14 double-doubles this year.
I think his career high is what, 29?
That is correct. Hawes gives it up. Cutting the baseline. Plus the foul. Dalton Nixon. BYU about as good as you can be at the offensive end. Shooting 63% from the field.
Look at the interior passing right there. Yoeli Childs finishing with the strong two-hand finish. And you see the versatility of Hawes driving to the basket. For the strong 2. We playing basketball.
Dream big. The dream continues.
Fellas, listening to that St. Mary's huddle, Jock Landale telling his team, actually screaming to his team, we've been here before. Let's just chip away. Randy Bennett telling his team, look, we can live with Childs taking those 3-pointers. He's a 22% guy from the 3-point line. What they're more concerned about is guarding the ball and preventing that inside easy basket.
And there have been too many of those tonight. At 63% from the field, BYU. That's Gene Wojciechowski. I'm Bob Wischusen, here with Karan Butler. If you would have told Randy Bennett that we would get to the point where there was 9.5 minutes to go in the game, his team would make 6 threes, and they'd be shooting 53% themselves, he probably would have taken that. And yet he finds himself on the verge of going down by double digits in that exact situation.
And you know what? Coach Bennett is saying all the right things, being positive in the huddle, saying that we can live with Yoeli Childs shooting on the perimeter and, live with his hit or miss, but not tonight. He's having an out-of-body performance. He's clicking on all cylinders, and you have to get out to him. His career high, 29 points. He have 27 already with 9 minutes left in this ball game, not even having foul trouble. He's engaged offensively and defensively. I say you want to close out to him.
Shot clock at 5. Landale, double team, triple team, taken away by Elijah Bryant. Bryant down the lane. He'll go to the line.
Yeah, look at the defense of BYU. Everybody's corralling the paint, and you see the ball placement for Jock Landale. If you're throwing it in traffic, I feel like Brian did an excellent job of just coming over, getting his hands on it, showing the activity, getting the deflection, and getting out into transition and making it happen.
Cullen Neal out, back into the game is Jordan Ford. That foul on Calvin Hermanson, his 4th. And down by 10 for arguably the best perimeter weapon that Randy Bennett has. Every big shot down the stretch against Pepperdine, it seemed like Hermanson hit. Do you have any choice but to leave him on the floor? Or would you take him out with 4 and see if your bench can give you a lift?
I mean, at this point, They considering the fact that they are a bubble team. So it's all in right now. All hands on deck.
Ford for three. Short. And if that's a foul on Landell, that's his fourth. It is.
Oh, wow.
Dave Hall saw it from the near sideline and rang him up. And now Randy Bennett's team, in terms of foul trouble, is in a bad way as Hermanson and Landell both have 4.
It's decisions to make on that sideline for St. Mary's. You see the activity right there. Went straight up, but continued. And I feel like the momentum of his body just fell right on the rebounder, and that's why the call was made.
Nixon down the lane, lost it, and an offensive foul called on Nixon. He ran over Tanner Krebs.
Landell has to be really, really careful. You see Nixon drove the ball and ran right into the defender, got the offensive charge, but Landell was playing with his hands on the perimeter when Nixon drove by. Could have easily picked up his fifth foul on that possession.
Eight to shoot. Landell out of the double team to Hermanson. In and out. Hermanson's now 3 for 9 from 3. Tough entry pass. Childs handles it, and he has equaled his career high, 29.
Look at the position that Childs got on that play. You know, sealing the defender out. And they placed that ball perfectly where all he had to do was turn around and go up for the 2.
Landell out of the double team. Now it's Ford. Big shot for St. Mary's. Boy, they needed a 3 in the worst way, and they've cut the lead back down to 10.
A huge bucket right there by Ford. The rotation for BYU defense is definitely there. Just got there a second too late, and Ford took advantage of that opportunity.
Looking for the answer was Nixon, but he rims one out.
Obviously, you know it's a game of runs, and if you're St. Mary's, you want to cut within 10, but it's not going to happen like that.
Ahead of the field, throws it down. What a great play by McKay Cannon to save it into the front court, and Randy Bennett wants a timeout.
Nixon plays so hard and aggressive.
That might have been about the hustle play of the night by McKay Cannon. The Cougs fans loving it. 6+ minutes away from a meeting tomorrow night with Gonzaga. He's right at least twice a day. Back here in Las Vegas, Bob Wischusen here with UConn legend Caron Butler. I'm a BC guy. Never liked you, really at all. So hopefully you understand how big I feel like I am being in giving you credit. You saw this coming. You saw the hunger in this BYU team. You thought that St. Mary's might be in for quite a battle tonight. Boy, they have not responded to the intensity of the Cougars.
You know, I felt like the preparation of BYU and the energy and the body language that I've seen early, just, you know, them going through the drills, warming up, and seeing St. Mary's and how they performed against Pepperdine. And I was like, you know what? They can be taken down. If BYU come in with the right disposition, if Yoli Childs has one of those nights, which he's having, if Bryant is knocking down shots, if Haas is knocking down shots, if Nixon is giving you that energy and that effort on the defensive end, the offensive end, they can win this ball game.
Childs commits the last foul for BYU to give. St. Mary's ball when we come back, but BYU with a 12-point lead. Butler, Gene Wojciechowski, 12-point lead for BYU over St. Mary's. So this would be a mild upset if the Cougs can hold on. They've got a matchup potentially awaiting them with Gonzaga tomorrow night. And could BYU be playing well enough to be a bid stealer? Could they get the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament out of the West Coast Conference, which would be bad news to a lot of bubble teams if they came off the bubble and ended up getting the automatic bid. Still 6 minutes to go to try and finish off St. Mary's.
Well, anything can happen. And this just goes to show you how competitive this WCC conference is. Where any given night, the two best teams, obviously Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but you could be beat.
Landell lays it in. Aggressive move to the baseline. 10-point game again. Still a lot of time. 5.5 to go. Ten to shoot. Looking for a new career high. Yoli Childs gives it up. Hawes tries an NBA three. Doesn't get the roll. Offensive rebound. Landale blocks Nixon.
That's the type of effort you need from Landale. Seen him offensively make something happen, and then come on the defensive end and get the high-quality block, which is much needed.
And now Cannon commits the foul. A very brief rest for Calvin Hermanson. Of course, he and Landale both have 4. And now Jordan Ford, 76%, heads to the free throw line. Ford leads the way with 23 for St. Mary's.
And if you're BYU in this situation, you have to understand what got you in this situation, what got you to lead. You have to continue to play with pace. You have to continue to move the ball on the perimeter. You have to continue to go through Yoli Childs and play off of him. And play with that same effort and energy. Don't play safe ball just because you're up.
Lead down to 8, under 5 minutes to go. Childs, spin move. Comes up short. Nixon recovers it, though. Didn't hit the rim. So Bryant now has to look up and realize that the shot clock's winding down. It's at 3. Spins and gets it to go.
I'm going to give that credit to Haas. He was telling him the shot clock, you're in the red at the 5 seconds. And Bryant just used his ability to create and got to the paint and hit a tough 2.
Ford, one-handed layup is good. A new career high for Jordan Ford. He's got 27. Elijah Bryant with the shot clock winding down again. Short. Ford splits the D. Old school floater not there. There's the player of the year, though, on the offensive glass to cut the lead down to 6.
There's a huge bucket right there by St. Mary's. Jock Landale just imposing his will on the game, not giving up on the possession, getting the tip in. He's talking on defense. Even though he's in foul trouble, he's being aggressive on the shows.
Hawes with a shot fake. Rolls it home. Landale had to lay off with the 4 fouls.
He understood that Landale was coming over to guard him, and he used his pivot wisely. It went up into the body of Landale. Landale went straight up. You see the defense by Childs. Look at him, he shake his head like I saw it coming. He got a little psychic abilities as well, huh?
Bryant. Yes. What an answer from BYU. 4 straight after the lead was cut to 6. Randy Bennett wants a timeout.
What we got? Well, you see Landale not assuming anything, going for the tip in. And then Brian is taking this ball game over, making money moves. Thank you.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Arby's. Arby's, we have the meats.
Hands though, he's actually stabbing at the ball. He get caught.
The West Coast Conference champion Gonzaga has already moved through to the championship game. They await the winner of BYU St. Mary's. If you're watching us on the East Coast, later on tonight at 9 Eastern, right here on ESPN. 2:20 to go in the second half of semifinal number 2. And St. Mary's needs a big-time push in the last 2:20 as they are down by 10. The 2 seed in danger of being eliminated by the 3 seed and Elijah Bryant. When BYU has needed to stabilize the game with buckets, Karan, he's gotten them.
That's what you call being in your bag. He's showing you his versatility. Dribbling the ball, getting the contact, scoring on the perimeter as needed. He's playing that exceptionally well.
Shot clock down to 8. Gale's using up a lot of time. Narr throws it back to Landale for 3. Yes! And the final timeout called quickly by St. Mary's with 1:55 to go. Now they cut the lead down to 7. Are you surprised that they would, after making that shot, use their final timeout?
I am surprised because, you know, it's all about games. It's a game of runs and anything can happen. But it's refreshing to see the versatility of Jock Landale on the perimeter, stepping out there with the pass fake, finding the seams of the ball, following through, knocking down that 3-point shot. That's a component of his game that he hasn't tapped into a lot. But he's more than capable of knocking down perimeter shots like this on a consistent basis. I've been to shoot-arounds and I've seen him, you know, cash in consistently on the perimeter.
If it's possible to have a somewhat quiet 21, he's up to 21 points.
We always say good players find a way to score. They find a way to put their fingerprints on the game. And they also impose their will on the game to find a way to rally the troops and get a win, whatever it takes. But there's enough time in this ball game where anything can still happen.
And hard to believe only a couple of nights after Jock Landale grabbed 19 rebounds against Pepperdine. He's only got 2 tonight. So now St. Mary's out of timeouts. 1:55 to go. They can be aggressive, though. They still have 2 fouls to give. Only 14 fouls this half.
Execution need to be real tight by BYU on this end. They need to get a good possession.
Nixon, run over. So Elijah Thomas commits his first. Again, that's only team foul number 5. That cost St. Mary's somewhat because the shot clock was down to 8. So now it gets reset to 20 when every second matters. Another foul call. And again, it is Elijah Thomas. So now they're out of fouls to give. Now it'll be a 1-and-1 the rest of the way. Or foul shots the rest of the way, but 1-and-1 the next 3 fouls.
And that happened by design. You know, put him in, understanding that he don't have that many fouls. And he's playing extremely physical. That could have easily been a foul right there on Landale.
It can't be Landale that commits the foul. He's got 4.
He has to be smart.
And now you don't want to foul if you're St. Mary's. Shot clock under 10 again.
They're trying to continue to put Landale into action.
Hawes throws one deep to the corner. Saved to Childs. And with the shot clock going to 0, Childs knocks it down. Landale for 3. Short. Foul given by Ford. And the celebration begins for BYU.
Clearly a broken play right here. You see Haas trying to create, got Landale to commit, slung the ball over to the corner. And Yoli Childs recognizing that he only had 2 seconds to get that ball up. Quick release, excellent follow through.
And that's the second time McKay Cannon has made a tremendous play right on the sideline to not just save a ball, but to have his saving pass lead directly to a basket.
Playing inspired basketball.
So barring a miracle comeback by St. Mary's in the last 57 seconds, and it looks like it will be Gonzaga against BYU tomorrow night in the WCC championship game. Landale catches it deep and puts it in. Here comes the press. And a quick foul call. So Hermanson fouls out. Looks like a happy alum. Might be sending some celebratory texts. Either that or he's sending a message back to Boston to his scouts saying, hey, this Yoli Childs guy.
Yeah,
somebody's got to keep an eye on him. As Elijah Bryant goes to the free throw line. And I get the impression, talking to you about this BYU team before this game was played tonight, that you think they are no fluke. They've got more than a puncher's chance tomorrow night against Gonzaga.
I always root for the underdog, and when you're playing in this game of basketball, you got to have an edge, you got to be hungry, and you got to have a sense of desperation. And they have all those components. A little gumbo action right there. So all they got to do is just apply that night in and night out. And you see it right there. They're going to be fine going forward.
Bodies fall everywhere. And that's going to be another foul on Elijah Thomas. So again, it's to the opposite end for a 1-and-1 for BYU.
No matter what time it is, Flavor Flav is not going nowhere. He's still in the house. I wonder who he's rooting for. What's your guess, Bob?
I think he's Switzerland. I think he's just a man of the people.
I second that.
.31 for Childs. And now 25 for Elijah Bryant. So the two top scorers for BYU showed up. Landale kept it alive. 3 on the way, and that one rolls off for Tanner Krebs. And it looks like another foul called on St. Mary's.
That Landale?
And if that's Landale, he has fouled out.
I really felt like he wasn't fouled out after he picked up that 4th foul still early in the ball game. And he was playing with 4 fouls, but not playing safely. You know, he still was playing aggressive on the defensive end, even more aggressive on the offensive end. You know, chasing down rebounds, a lot of contact, 50 possessions. Caught up to him.
And Yoli Childs continues to add to a career high.
That's what you call just, you know, being ready for the moment, coming out, having one of those special performances. And now you're going to see him get the ovation that he well deserved. Yoli Childs, ladies and gentlemen. Special talent. Special, special talent.
"13 seconds to go. It belongs to BYU. Bryant gets it across the timeline, and it looks like St. Mary's will wave the white flag. And BYU will play Gonzaga tomorrow night for the West Coast Conference Championship. 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. I'll be with Gene Wojciechowski and Dick Vitale, and we will bring you the championship game between BYU and Gonzaga. Karan Butler, thanks a million for joining us. We appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Appreciate you, brother. Had a great time.
And for Karan and Gene, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Las Vegas. Join us tomorrow night, 9 Eastern on ESPN for the title game between BYU and Gonzaga. Now to Chris Cotter in the studio.